This computer, Cody's jumping on. All right, you guys. I'm super pumped to have you guys on tonight. How's everybody doing? How's the week going? Pretty good? Pretty solid thumbs up all the way across the board. Michael
Eh,
feels good. Awesome. You guys, I know we've been on this line, on this piece of transformation is longevity for the last three calls. We did that one call in between. We were doing some Q&A, but for the most part, we're kind of following the series, and I've been on a lot of things on it. And I actually want to continue another piece of that tonight. And man, this is something that I definitely feel in my own life, and I know how important it is in the health and fitness journey of all of our lives too. And I'm calling this one "Don't Skip the Season You're In." And obviously, number one we had was just like the transformation is longevity. We talked about what transformation is. That transfiguration, that metamorphosis was the piece. Number two, we went into that seeing some of the issues and making the adjustment, right? I gave that story of my daughter in the gym shooting. And then call number three, we talked about the patterns beneath the patterns. And so that was really about, okay, we recognize those problems and we're trying to make the adjustment, but we actually have to see what's causing the problems, right? So all of these pieces that help us push into longevity and into transformation. And this week, continuing on all those lines, you're going to start seeing now that we've been in this multi-weeks, how it's all tying together and how it's even tying into past teachings all the way from the beginning of the year and even last year. And so not skipping the season we're in. I mean, we all and most people are trying to oftentimes escape a season that we're in currently because they believe that life exists on the other side of the goal. And so, for example, like, oh, when I get there, or when I make enough money, I'll do this, or when I lose the weight, I'll do this. But what if the season that you're in right now is actually the part that's producing who you really are? What if that part is the actual transformation? What if life actually lives in this portion? And if our mindset is always the next getting to where we want to be, or what are we missing out on? And so we always tend to rush to arrive, especially if you're a goal-oriented person. You have big goals. A lot of times it's hard not to rush. It's hard not to be present. And a lot of times we can really try to rush to the outcome, to the desired goals because we get really uncomfortable with sitting with ourselves. We get really impatient with the process of where we're at because the process isn't always fun. The transfiguration isn't always fun. And this obviously applies to every area of our life, you guys, but in health and fitness, I see this in diet choices we make, in fad diets, in starvation to try to lose the weight. We see it in GLP misuse or self-sabotage or inconsistency. And a lot of this stems from just wanting to get to the outcome, but not actually wanting to let go of our false behaviors. We protect the comfort areas. That's why they're called a comfort zone. We're comfortable there. And even if this is subconsciously, because exiting that loop of our predictable past takes intentionality and effort. When we rush to the outcome, we often delay the actual transformation. As ironic as it sounds, we're thinking we're taking a shortcut, but by taking that shortcut, we actually it ended up taking longer to get there. And so shortcuts can actually delay the true outcome. And just to preface this, I'm not anti GLP. I am not anti things that are tools that can assist us to get to where we want to be. But what I'm anti disconnection because a lot of times when people go to things, it's because they're always disconnected from their self. And so from the mind of our heart, that's how I'll tie that in. And so remember that from all the way back to the beginning of the year. So then how do we ever experience inward transfiguration that yields an outward transformation that we desire? Remember our teaching months ago that was the transfer how do we say this? So it's be transformed by the renewing of our mind, right? And the transform, that's the Greek word metamorpho. And that's been the teaching we've been on. So be metamorphosed, be transformed by the renewing. Remember, that was the word anakainos in the Greek, which actually means be transformed into something completely new, never before seen, right? Of our mind. And remember, the mind wasn't like we thought it was. Up here, the mind actually is in our hearts. And so think about this. What's the oldest organ in your body? When your mom goes to the doctor, what does the doctor check for? He's checking for a heartbeat. Your heart's been around the longest, you guys. The mind of the heart is where a lot of times we struggle to sit in silence of, and we struggle to sit there and actually listen to what's going on. And that inward transformation never happens if the nervous system always stays the same, if our identity always stays the same, or I should say that we're living in a false identity, and our emotional regulation stays the same. Our self-image, that's the big one, never adjusts, or our relationship with food never adjusts. And so as a person, we might lose weight, but we never actually become free. And so here's the reality, you guys. You can, in fact, change your body without ever changing your life. In 15 years of doing this, I've seen it a lot. That's why I'm so big on spending Wednesday nights with you guys several times a month. Because I've just realized it's got to be a bigger piece of the coaching. And I'm sitting over here debating on, do I make this a weekly thing? It's like, I don't want to give too much information where it doesn't give you a chance to soak in, but I'm working through some things on how do we continue to help this transformative process so this stays permanent, right? And that's the piece where people can lose weight, but they never actually change their life. And then they end up going back. And it happens. I've done it. It can be part of it. And we learn from the situation we're in. So the season, oftentimes that we're trying to rush through or skip or escape from, might actually be the very thing teaching you how to sustain the life that you want. Everything that you're going through right now might be exactly what you need. Where you're at right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. And so we can't always get in this mindset of, man, I should be further than this right now. As a business owner, I can easily go in there. Amy can tell you that. Like, I can easily go, man, I should be further along this. I should be making more money in this. My business, I should have more people than this. But where I'm at right now is perfectly where I need to be to learn how to support and teach and help people at the capacity that I'm able to do and do it very well. So then I can steward the get in the future too. And so that's all part of it. And so the season that you're in is truly refining you, you guys. Transforming for longevity is hard. And it doesn't come without hiccups, because the hiccups are actually the wake ups. And those wake ups help you recall to your aligned actions. And so think about all the things that you're doing. The pressure that you have or that you put on yourself, the discomfort from working out, training hard, maybe it's slow results, all the repetition of doing this every day, every week, showing up, journaling. If you're doing some journaling that we always encourage, awareness, the workouts, the walks, the meal prep, and then setbacks again. And so all of these things, they're not punishment. They are all keys that open specific doors, though, to new hallways, new paths, new consciousness and understanding in your life. And we want to use those keys. We have all of the tools and the keys to use, but we have to go unlock the door and walk through. That's the participation piece. And so if you skip the season, you often skip the lesson. And if we skip the lesson, life usually brings you back around to learn it again. That's the loop that I'm talking about, right? That's what I was talking about on the last call, was if we can escape from our predictable past, we can be set free from a predictable future. Because if you keep repeating the same loop over and over again from the past, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen in the future. You can tell yourself exactly what's going to happen in the future. Let's be real. And so that's why this is so important, you guys. And this is the huge piece. And this is where some paradox comes in. And I was never like this when I was younger. When I'd coach people, I was like, dude, and I still want to coach this way some days, right, guys, where I just want to look at you or look at somebody and be like, bro, just get your shit together. Let's go. Like, and sometimes we need to hear that, but there's also this piece of me that like a maturity that's happened that I have to like I have to look at my own life and be like, dude, sometimes I have two kids that are puking or something, and my wife doesn't feel good, and I don't feel it. It's just that's life. And so there's some grace that has to be applied to our lives. You know what I mean? Like we're not 23 and have all the time in the world and not much for responsibilities anymore. We're all older now. We're all building different areas of our life. And so grace has to be present, but grace can't come in to then support avoidance. And this is where some paradox comes in. And so being present in the season does not mean, and like giving yourself grace does not mean like staying stuck. It's not an excuse to stay stuck or staying small or keep playing small in your life, lowering your standards or excusing these patterns beneath the patterns that we've been talking about. It actually means being fully present and participating in your goals and in your life, fully seeing yourself. I'm going to touch on that again. Being honest, this is big. Applying true grace means that you're able to be honest with yourself, though, and slowing and showing up today. Okay, real grace doesn't remove responsibility. It actually removes shame so you can grow. Real grace doesn't remove the responsibility, but it does remove the shame so you can actually grow. So this is, remember I said this weeks ago, it's probably actually a month and a half ago. Look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day when you're brushing your teeth and look yourself in the eye. Don't look away. Look yourself in the eye and be like, did I get better today? And you can answer, you'll be able to answer yourself that. And I'm not saying perfection, I'm saying, did I get better today? And that's where we can still apply grace and be like, man, it was a hard day, but I still chose this, or I still did this. I still did. Okay, yeah, I did get better. That's the nuance that I want us to learn to walk in, because that still then requires us that we're taking action and intensity and intentionality every single day, but not just playing this avoidance game of well, it was really hard and I deserved a break today. You know, like we could all live in that space. And so look yourself in the mirror and do that. Did I get better today? Did I show up? Did I participate? Was I still aligned? Did I act like that person that I know that I am? Did I be that person that I know I am? So, do you see how that's different though than did I arrive? Like, did I get my goal? Did I lose the weight? Is the weight gone? Did I do it perfectly? Do you see the difference in those? That's actually like the first one still gave you grace, but still push you forward. Okay? Don't skip the season that you're in, you guys. The season may feel uncomfortable. It actually does. It just does feel uncomfortable. It does feel slow at times. Thank goodness, because life moves fast. So thank goodness once something feels slow once in a while. Slow down. And it does feel repetitive. Good results are repetitive. They're boring. That's okay. But we're in the life. It's a mindset, man. We're living life. But the season, remember, is forming you. And most of the time, the forming is actually in the mind. And we always think of it as body changing, but it's so much in the mind. And so this version of you that you've been praying for, or that, yeah, you can get her, please, that might be built in the days that you're currently trying to rush through. And so that version that you've been praying for, or something that you've been working towards, is oftentimes in the midst of what you're actually going through right now. So be where your feet are at. Participate in this process. Don't stop participating. Stop negotiating with a challenging moment that you're in. When the alarm goes off, don't negotiate with it. When you'd rather not have that meal prep meal that's already in your fridge and you're just like, screw it, I want to go through BK drive-through, don't negotiate with it. Be like, nah, that doesn't align with me. That's not even close to alignment. Dude, I go through that all the time too. I'm no different than you guys. I am a foodie. I love food. I love ice cream. I could smash pizza 7 days a week. But and it doesn't mean I don't. I enjoy some ice cream. I enjoy some pizza. I enjoy all the things. But I've had to learn that when does it align? When is it I'm doing it too much? And I find that I've learned that it's taken a lot of years. I'll pull up. I'm gonna post actually some stuff from a couple years ago on my social of Jordan at 245 a couple years ago, and inflamed face. And I'll tell you this: I was eating a majority, almost all whole foods. You guys, I wasn't eating a bunch of junk, but I still wasn't eating correctly. The stress in my life was I was letting it overcome me. So my cortisol levels were super high. I was super inflamed. And that's just, again, I was out of alignment of what my life actually I say it is. And there always comes, especially as men, you guys, the men on the call, like part of life is living in contradiction where you'll say things and you're not living it. And when you become aware and consciously aware of when you're doing that, that's when life can shift for you. Because then you'll see it and you'll be like, oh my God. Like, not even, and it's embarrassing to yourself. I have to do that when I talk about patience. And then I'm like, the same day I blew up on my son, and I'm like, oh, here I am trying to teach patience and this. And I'm like freaked out on my own kid, and you live in that contradiction, but that is the opportunity. Thank goodness that we're growing in awareness and consciousness so we can make the correction. That's the story from week 2, the adjustment. I hope you're tying it all together, right? That's the adjustment that we make. It's the season that you're in is all for you to be refined and grown, but we can't do that if we're not consciously aware. That's what, when I say mindset coaching, or when I say we're growing in the mind, we're growing in the heart, that's what I mean. Okay, so there's a couple practices for the week that I want you to take, or like a journaling prompt for yourself. And you don't need to do this every single day, but maybe you sit with these questions for a day or two, and then you kind of start writing them out, and you can actually start seeing it. So here's number 1, and Amy will put these in the group page as well if you don't have anything to write these down right now. So number 1, what season of life am I currently trying to rush through? Where are you at right now that you're currently trying to rush through? Most likely, if you had something pop in your mind right there really quick, that's it. Don't try to get fancy or construct something in your mind that you need to impress me with or something. Whatever popped in is probably it. And then number 2, what might this season be trying to teach or reveal within me? What might this season be trying to teach or reveal within me? Be deep with yourself on these. Don't just write a sentence. Start writing. Or voice note. You can go to the notes page on your phone. You can just hit microphone. You can start talking. Go on a walk and just talk. It'll feel weird like the first 2 sentences. But I do this a lot. Actually, a lot of my writing is just when I'm out walking. And I'll just talk into my voice notes, and it'll record and it'll type it out onto my phone. I don't lift a pencil. But there's oftentimes where lifting a pencil is more powerful. I will tell you that. And then number 3, where am I pursuing fast relief instead of true transformation? So that would mean, where am I trying to rush the process? Or am I trying to rush through it just to get through it, get to the finish line? I'm not saying don't, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not saying, when I say don't rush the process, I'm not saying don't be intentional every single day, or I can't find the word I'm looking for, but don't be like very intuitive with what you're doing. Like, be intense, go for it. I think I heard this back in like 2016 or 2017. Gary Vee, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he said, work in micro speed, macro patience. So every day, the micro is what you have to do today. Even though the big goal is way out here, that's the macro patience to get there. But you live in today and you do the things that you need to do today. And then you'll end up in the macro, but it takes the macro patience to get there. So those 3 prompts, I'll put those in the page. Amy will post those in the page. I'll also post up the recording. And I just want to encourage you, wrap this up with just encouraging you that the season that you're in is perfect. Where you were at is perfect, because you are here in the moment for a reason to help launch you into the next. But it's about, if you can find that reason, and we can grow from it, and we can take advantage of it and learn. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is wasted in this life if you choose not to waste it. And I believe that is why you are all here, or that you are all listening. And so, and when we start realizing that, we kind of go into that old saying of nothing is happening to us. It's all happening for us. That little sentence, as cliche and silly as it sounds, is very powerful. So you guys, thanks for spending some time with us on a Wednesday night. Super pumped that you could join in again. We're gonna keep this show going. We're gonna keep the flow. If you have questions, you want to keep this conversation going with me, drop it in the group page on the app, or obviously always message me. I love it. I love to help you guys through whatever it is you're working through as well. So have an amazing rest of your night. We'll talk to you guys later.